Well, good morning and welcome to 182. I'll be still an instant and go home. This world you seem to live in is not home to you. There's a big thank God in my heart and in my mind with that very first sentence. This world you seem to live in is not home to you. And somewhere in your mind, you know that this is true. A memory of home keeps haunting you, as if there were a place that called you to return, although you do not recognize the voice, nor what it is the voice reminds you of. Yet still you feel an alien here from somewhere all unknown. Nothing so definite that you could say with certainty you are an exile here. Just a persistent feeling, sometimes not more than a tiny throb, at other times hardly remembered, actively dismissed, but surely to return to mind again. And I remember when I was a young boy of teenage years, probably about 15, 16, I started to feel like I didn't belong here, that there was something wrong with the world. Something was out of place. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know exactly what, it was just this persistent nagging. It's like, I don't think, have any realization that maybe I'm not from here or anything like that, but I just felt like there was something wrong or something missing. No one but knows whereof we speak, yet some try to put by their suffering in games they play to occupy their time and keep their sadness from them. Others will deny that they are sad and do not recognize their tears at all. Still others will maintain that what we speak of is illusion, not to be considered more than but a dream. Yet who in simple honesty, without defensiveness and self-deception, would deny he understands the words we speak? We speak today for everyone who walks this world, for he is not at home. He goes uncertainly about in endless search, seeking in darkness what he cannot find, not recognizing what it is that he seeks. 1,000 homes he makes, yet none contents his restless mind. He does not understand, he builds in vain. The home he seeks cannot be made by him. There is no substitute for heaven. All he ever made was hell. Perhaps you think it is your childhood home that you would find again. The childhood of your body and its place of shelter are a memory now so distorted that you merely hold a picture of a past that never happened. Yet there is a child in you who seeks his father's house and knows that he is alien here. This childhood is eternal, with an innocence that will endure forever. Where this child shall go is holy ground. It is his holiness that lights up heaven and that brings to earth the pure reflection of the light above, wherein are earth and heaven joined as one. It is this child in you your father knows as his own son. It is this child who knows his father. He desires to go home so deeply, so unceasingly. His voice cries unto you to let him rest a while. He does not ask for more than just a few instants of respite, just an interval in which he can return to breathe again the holy air that fills his father's house. You are his home as well. He will return. But give him just a little time to be himself within the peace that is his home, resting in silence and in peace and love. That's really cool. I love that bit. You are his home as well. He will return. So the idea of you in that reference is you, the bodily association, you, the temporal form association, the avatar. And my reference for that, my personal reference for that is in the moment of my enlightenment, where I saw everything disappear, and it's hard to explain, as I've said many times. I found myself in eternity for what seemed like a very brief moment, maybe 4 or 5 seconds. It's hard. I couldn't even tell you. Like, there's no time. It's a timeless experience. But and when I found myself back in the world, over half an hour had gone by in that very brief little tiny interval. And my body was lifeless, just laying flat on my belly, face down on the floor. And the animating force, which is that light within that Jesus is asking you here now to allow to have a brief respite in eternity, returned to reanimate the vessel with the memory association intact of the avatar's falsity of the identity, or, you know, the belief in the identity as the body, but with now a new reference for the truth of the mind, which is the manifesting agent of the body. Right? The body is the symbol of the ego, for the purpose of the transformation, which I'm now going through, and we're going through together doing these workbook lessons, because it's a collaborative venture. So yes, very difficult to talk about, but once you've had your own experience of it, things tend to drop into place. The bits, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. It's like, oh, that goes there and that goes there. And of course that happened because that's what that represents, and all these sorts of things, bringing the mind more and more to a state of inner peace, perfect inner peace. And with the mind automatically taking on board the particulars and of the principles that allow that to happen. Right? Work the program till it works you. This child needs your protection. He is far from home. He is so little that he seems so easily shut out, his tiny voice so readily obscured, his calls for help almost unheard amid the grating sounds and harsh and rasping noises of the world. Yet does he know that in you still abides his sure protection. You will fail him not. He will go home, and you along with him. This child is your defenselessness, your strength. He trusts in you. He came because he knew you would not fail. He whispers of his home unceasingly to you, for he would bring you back with him, that he himself might stay and not return again where he does not belong and where he lives an outcast in a world of alien thoughts. It's funny that the word "in a world of alien thoughts," that idea of the form association, of the temporal association, the temporal identity as being the alien. We tend to think, you know, as these bodily things, that the aliens are out there somewhere in the interstellar, you know, the cosmos, and yet here we are. So, his patience has no limits. He will wait until you hear his gentle voice within you, calling you to let him go in peace, along with you to where he is at home and you with him. Now, there's a thing there, along with you to where he is at home and you with him. So in that moment where I found myself in eternity, that's a true thing. I and my Father were one. I and the Christ in me, there was no separation at all. I experienced, let's say, as the temporal self, the residue or the being, let's call it that, the being that seems to be a Dave, but Dave mind, not Dave the body. The body flat, stayed here, laying on the carpet. But Dave awareness, Dave mind in denial, suddenly, whoop, one with the Christ, entered into an awakening or an experience or a contact with direct union with God, one with all things, no separation. I am God and God is me. You know, if you're a fan of Star Wars, I am one with the Force. The Force is in me. In Rogue One, that's a great movie. I love that one. And then returned, you know, but how do you talk about something that's a completely different state, a different dimension, a different reality? It's like a bird trying to tell a jellyfish what it is to fly. But it's funny. Anyway, let's get on. When you are still an instant, when the world recedes from you, when valueless ideas cease to have value in your restless mind, then will you hear his voice, capital his. So poignantly he calls to you that you will not resist him longer. Having heard that voice, there was no way on earth, or that I could impossible to resist. In that instant, he will take you to his home, and you will stay with him in perfect stillness, silent and at peace beyond all words, untouched by fear and doubt, sublimely certain that you are at home. Absolutely. Rest with him frequently today, for he was willing to become a little child that you might learn of him how strong is he who comes without defense, offering only love's messages to those who think he is their enemy. He holds the might of heaven in his hand and calls them friend, and he gives his strength to them that they may see he would be friend to them. He asks, but they protect him, for his home is far away, and he will not return to it alone. Christ is reborn as but a little child, each time a wanderer would leave his home, for he must learn that what he would protect is but this child, who comes defenseless and who is protected by defenselessness. Go home with him from time to time today. You are as much an alien as he here. Oh, you are as much an alien here as he. And I like that bit, go home with him from time to time today. So you're making the effort to still the mind, to enter into that moment of light experience, that direct light experience, which is accumulative. And every time you have one of these light experiences, it accumulates in weight of witness within your own mind and becomes more and more impossible to deny. Whether, like me, you have a top-down awakening where you have the enlightenment of your mind first and then proceed through the workbook to purify the mind and have those holy instants or holy light experiences along the way, or whether you're purifying the mind first in pursuit of your enlightenment and experiencing those light moments as you go. Okay, but it's important to, once you have one, you'll be like, what the hell was that? It's something that is in your mind that, we have this conscious level where we see, hear, smell, touch, taste, and that's all we seem to be able to think about. And we can try and imagine other realms and other things, but we're just guessing. And then all of a sudden we have this little moment of light flash within from beyond consciousness into the consciousness, like looking through a keyhole for a second. And it's instantly addictive. It's like, what was that? How did that happen? Right? It happened miraculously because you allowed it to, through being willing to be still for an instant with a new purpose, allowing the mind to travel according to your decision for that new purpose, upward or homeward, instead of down into the subconscious in the merry-go-round of alphabet soup that our thoughts tend to be down there. And you had an experience or a glimpse. I call them postcards from home. They're really kind of nice like that. So take time today to lay aside your shield, which profits nothing. This body is your shield. And lay down the spear and sword you raised against an enemy without existence. Christ has called you friend and brother. He has even come to you to ask your help in letting him go home completed and completely. He has come as does a little child who must beseech his father for protection and for love. He rules the universe, and yet he asks unceasingly that you return with him and take illusions as your gods no more. You have not lost your innocence. It is for this you yearn. This is your heart's desire. This is the voice you hear, and this the call which cannot be denied. The Holy Child remains with you. His home is yours. Today he gives you his defenselessness, and you accept it in exchange for all the toys of battle you have made. And now the way is open, and the journey has an end in sight at last. Be still a moment and go home with him, and be at peace a while. I like that line there. I love this whole lesson. I just love it. But like You have not lost your innocence. It is for this you yearn. And I remember growing up through my alcoholic and drug addicted years before enlightenment, where I was searching for meaning and failing miserably. And something within me was craving that simplicity and innocence of my childhood, not the childhood home as we read earlier in this lesson, but just that state of mind where you're in the moment, and I have vivid memories of being in association with my friends, all as very young teenagers, 12, 13, 14. And we had a great group of friends at that particular time in my life, and we would go to the park and play all the time on our bicycles and play cricket and all sorts of things, and go adventuring down creeks and things like that. And there was no thought of any fear or concern for what we were doing. We were just, masters of the universe in our own sort of way, free, until the strictures of working and getting older and responsibility fell upon our shoulders. And we kind of lost that sort of innocence, that sort of carefree, And I know that that's not exactly what this is saying, but without a reference for what true innocence is, it's like that's a pretty good one to sort of begin to look at. It's like, well, where did I go? Where did my carefree kind of childhood me, that sense of self, go to? It hasn't really gone anywhere. And the true nature of my true innocence, like in the experience of the illumination that's revealed, is more like it's impossible how much more to describe, like really more. It's just beyond, like it's so perfect. It's just so perfect. Even perfect is a diminishment of its perfection. The word perfect, it's like, it's beyond perfect. All right, anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed that lesson. I did. And we'll see you tomorrow. Lesson 183, I call upon God's name and my own. Peace.